students, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to continue with atomic structure. But before starting that, I want to tell you something. In the book, many things are there which are not there in the curriculum. So we will be just following the curriculum. Okay. So extra things, if you want to learn, you can, but no question will come from that. Only from the curriculum only the question will be there. Okay, and that's why few parts we will be going brief, which are not there in the curriculum. Okay, so let's start today. First thing which we will be doing, that is how the three subatomic particles discovered. First of all, we will be doing for electron. It was discovered by J.J. Thomson. Though it is there in the book, it is written as William Crookes, but he has experiment. He has done the experiment with discharge tube, but the name and the study of the characteristic of electron and all, that was given by J.J. Thomson. So for the discoverer of electron, we will be taking the name of Thomson only. Now, what is discharge tube? A discharge tube is a steel tube. Here you can see it's a steel glass tube where at its two end there are two metal plates, and with the metal plates we have connected electrical wire, and through this we will be giving the connection of current. Okay, we will be passing current through this. Now in this discharge tube there will be a gas. Any gas we can take, but that will be at a very low pressure. Now when in this condition, when we will apply current to this, we will pass current through this tube. He observed, William Crookes observed that there is a stream of rays, stream of particles going from cathode to anode. Okay, cathode is this is the negative end. You can see negative end of the discharge tube, this is called cathode, and the positive end of the discharge tube, this is called anode. Now the stream of the rays or the particles, it's forming from the cathode, and from cathode to anode it's going. Okay, so as from cathode we are getting the rays, stream of the rays, so it is called cathode ray. Now William Crookes have done this experiment. Later on, J.J. Thomson, he studied this again, and the stream of the rays or the cathode rays, on this he have done some experiment to get the characteristic of the cathode ray. So as cathode ray is it's forming from the negative end, and it's having all the properties of a negative particle. That means it will get attracted by the positive end and all. Okay, and it's having a very negligible mass or no mass is there. So these are the characteristic of cathode ray, and it was named by J.J. Thomson. He named the stream of the ray or the particles as electron. So in this manner electrons were discovered. Now come to the proton. Goldstein, E. Goldstein, he have discovered proton. So here also he have taken this discharge tube only, a sealed glass tube, where the anode is looks like this. This is the anode, and here he have taken a perforated cathode. That means there is some hole in the cathode plate. See, this is the cathode, this is the negative end, and this is the anode, this is the positive end. Now in the same manner we will be it was connected through the electrical wire and all, and through this we will pass electricity. Now the gas will be at very low pressure in the discharge tube. Now when the same conditions will be applied for this, for the perforated cathode, Goldstein he observed that from cathode the cathode rays are forming. You can see the cathode rays, this through this red arrows I have shown the cathode ray. So this cathode ray will be there. Along with this cathode ray will be from cathode to anode as in the same manner, but another rays are there which are just opposite to the cathode ray in all respect, that will be formed from the anode ray. Okay, from the anode you can see this by this arrows. Actually this will form through anode, and as the cathode is perforated, so through the holes the rays will it will go through the holes. Okay, so these rays, this by this arrow, this blue arrow I have shown the positive rays or the anode ray. This, as anode ray is having all the properties just opposite to the cathode ray, so it is called anode ray, and it's having all the properties uh, just opposite to the cathode or the electrons, so it was named as proton, which are having negative charge, which are having positive charge. As electrons are having negative charge, so it's opposite, that means they are must having positive charge. It will, this stream of the rays are getting attracted by the negative end of the electrode and all. So this characteristic of these particles, proton, will be just opposite to that of the electrons. So in this manner protons were discovered. Now as an atom is it's electrically neutral, so electron and proton, as these two particles are there present in an atom, and they are having just opposite charge, same charge but it's opposite. So an atom is neutral, but this part is it was matched with the experimental one. But what about the mass? When scientists go through the mass of the atom, they found that it's not matching with the total number of protons present in an atom. That means it's the mass of an atom is bit more than the total mass of the proton. As electrons are having negligible mass, so it will not give any addition of, to the mass of the atom, but protons are having some mass, which mass is not matching with the mass of the atom. That means from this they assume that there must be some other particles which are having no charge but have some mass. Okay, which mass will be added to the which mass is this is the reason of the excess mass of the atom. Now from that concept, the concept of neutron was discovered, and it was done by James Chadwick. Okay, he said that the neutrons are neutral, they are not having any charge, but they are having a little bit more mass of the proton. Protons are having some mass, but neutrons are having little bit more mass than the proton. So in this manner, now the total mass of the proton and neutron, it now it's matching with the total mass of the atom. So this is the concept. Through this we have discovered, scientists, they discovered the main three subatomic particles of atom. If we take a look on the properties of the three subatomic particles, electron, proton and neutron, then symbol of electron can be given as E0 minus 1. E for the symbol of electron, and as it's not having, this is in this part we will be writing the mass of that particle. As electron is having negligible mass, you can see the mass of electron, it's very less, 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 28 gram. So as it is very less mass, so we will take it as negligible mass, so it's written as 0. But electron is having 1 unit of negative charge, its charge is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. This charge we can call as unit charge also, because this is the lowest possible charge, and this can be taken as unit charge. So 1 unit of negative charge, this is negative charge. Okay, 1 unit of negative charge is having, electron is having 1 unit of negative charge, so it will be written as -1. So E0 minus 1, this is the symbol for electron, or this we can write as E minus also. Next, for proton, the symbol will be P is the symbol for proton. As proton is having 1 unit of mass, its mass is 1.672 into 10 to the minus 24 gram, which can be written as 1.6 into 10 to the minus 24 gram. Okay, so 1.6 into 10 to the minus 24 gram, this is the unit mass of unit mass, or the lowest possible mass. Okay, lowest possible mass means this is the significant mass we will be saying. So this mass is proton is having this mass, and that's why it is taken as unit. So P1, this is the mass for proton, and as proton is having the same charge as of electron, 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb, but it is positive. Okay, so 1 unit of positive charge, that's why +1. So P1 plus 1, this is the representation for proton, or this we can write as E plus, as we have written this for electron E minus. So for proton we will be we can represent it by P plus. Okay, now come to the neutron. It's having 1 unit of mass, just like proton. It's having slightly more mass than the proton. It's 1.676 into 10 to the minus 24 gram, which again can be taken as almost same with that of the neutron, with that of the proton, just little bit more. Okay, so this we can write as 1.6 into 10 to the minus 24 gram. So this is the unit mass of a particle, and for neutron also we will be writing that, we will be taking it as 1. Okay, 1 unit of mass, but as neutron is neutral, no mass is there, no charge is there, its charge is 0. So its charge is 0, that's why we will be writing this. So N1 0. So this is the notation for neutron, or this we can write as N0. Okay, so these are the representation, charge and mass of the 3 subatomic particles. In our last class, we learned about atomic number and mass number. What is atomic number? This is the number of electrons present in an atom, or number of protons present in an atom. The number is same, as number of electron and number of proton is same for an atom. So atomic number can be it can be given as number of electron or number of proton, both can be given. So, and this is denoted by Z. Atomic number can be denoted by Z. And what is mass number? Which is, mass number is denoted by A, capital A. It is the total number of proton and total number of proton and neutron present in an atom. Now from this, as we know the atomic number and if we know the mass number, we can calculate the number of neutron. So mass number is the total number of proton and neutron. So from this we can calculate the number of neutrons present in an atom. So this is equals to A minus Z. Z is the atomic number, which is the number of protons. So this can be replaced by Z, or we can write this as mass number minus atomic number. Now if we take an example, suppose for sodium's mass number is 23 and atomic number is 11. Atomic number 1 to 20 you have to memorize, you have to learn. Sodium's atomic number is 11 and mass number is 23. Now from this we can calculate the number of electron, proton and neutron present in sodium. So number of electron, it's equal to the atomic number, so this will be 11. Number of proton, this again will be 11, and number of neutron will be mass number minus atomic number, that means 23 minus 11, so it will be 12. So these are the number of the subatomic particles present in a sodium atom: electron 11, proton 11 and neutron 12. So in this manner, for any atom we can calculate the number of electron, protons and neutron if we know the mass number and atomic number. Now for chlorine, if we try to calculate the same, chlorine's mass number is 35 and atomic number is 17. So for chlorine, number of electron, number of proton and number of neutron can be calculated. Electron is 17, number of proton is also 17, and number of neutron is 35 minus 17, that is 18. So 17, 17 and 18. These are the number of electron, proton and neutron for chlorine. Now from this, as we know, now we know the number of subatomic particles, let us now come to the structure of sodium. If we try to draw the structure of an atom, as we have seen in our last class, at the center of an atom there is the center of an atom, which is called nucleus. It's the total number of neutron and proton reside here. All the protons and neutron reside here, and which are collectively known as nucleons. Electrons will reside in the outermost shell. These are the shells. But proton and neutron, which are having the maximum mass, actually this is the total mass of the atom, we can say, because electrons are having negligible mass. So total mass of the atom, that will concentrate in the center, that is called nucleus, and the proton and neutron together we are calling them as nucleons. Okay, protons and neutrons, these are collectively known as nucleons. They will reside in the center of the atom, which is called nucleus. Okay, now electrons will reside in the shells. These are the shells. These are some circular paths, and the circular paths are the centrally located nucleus, and around that the circular paths are there, which are called outermost or outer atomic. In the atomic structure there are two parts, we will say, the center and the outer atomic part, or outermost parts are there, which contain the shells. Okay, now these shells or orbits, these are called shells, shell or orbit. The circular paths are called shell or orbit. Here the electrons will revolve. Okay, now for sodium there are total 11 electrons. But now how we will arrange the electron, how we will draw the electron in the shells? For that we must know how many electrons can reside in each shell. The first shell, see, this is the first shell, which is named as K. The next shell, second shell, it is named as L. The next orbit, that is the third orbit, it is named as M, and the next one is named as N. Okay, and so on, more are there. So we will concentrate on this 4 only. Okay, now in K shell, in the first shell, it can accommodate maximum 2 electrons. Okay, there is a rule which is called Borsbury rule. It is as 2 into n square. 2 is the, this is the constant number, and n is the number of shell. For k shell, n is 1. So total number of electron which can accommodate in the first shell, k shell, that will be 2. Now for L shell, this is the second shell, so 2 into 2 square, so this will be 8. So in L shell, maximum 8 electron can reside. In M shell, in the same manner, we will found it as 18. 2 into 3 square is equal to 18, and for N shell, this will be 32. 2 into 4 square is equal to 32. So these are the maximum number of electrons which can reside in these 4 shells. But if the shell is the last shell we will be calling as valence shell. Just a second. The last shell, that is called valence shell. Valence shell is the last shell, and the electrons which are there in the valence shell, that is called valence electrons. So valence electrons will reside in the valence shell. Now why this is called so, that we will do in the next class. This according to the valence shell and all, we will be getting the valency of each atom. Okay, so what will be the valency of an atom, that will be decided by the valence shell and the number of electron reside in that shell. That's why it is called valence shell. And now for sodium, what will be the arrangement of electrons in the shells? As in the first shell, maximum 2 electron can reside. So let us draw 2 electrons. In the first shell, maximum 2 electron can reside. So 2 electrons will be there in the first shell. Next, more 9 electrons are there for sodium. So the next shell, that means L shell, can accommodate 8 electrons maximum. So let us draw 8 electrons in this shell. Now we are left with one more electron that will go in the next shell, that means M shell. Okay, now as this is the structure of sodium, where in the nucleus there will be 11 proton and 12 neutron. That also you have to write in this manner. And this total number proton and neutron, these are called nucleons. So total number of nucleons present in sodium will be 11 plus 12. Okay, now as this is the structure for sodium, and in the last shell, that means in N shell there are no electrons on, so we can wipe it out also. We can erase the shell. Okay, no need to draw it. So up to M shell it will be there. And as for sodium, M shell is the last electron that has gone, or this electron is residing in this last shell, M shell. So this is called a valence shell for sodium. So for sodium, the valence shell will be M shell, the third shell, and the valence electron will be 1, as only 1 electron is there for sodium. So it will, the number of valence electron will be 1 for sodium. So this is the structure for sodium. Now from this we have seen the total the maximum number of electrons which can reside in different shells. But if the shell is the last shell, that means for sodium the valence shell is M shell, the last shell. So in the last shell it cannot accommodate more than 8 electron. So if the shell is the last shell, then maximum 8 electron can reside in that shell. Okay, so though the total number of the maximum number of electron is 18 for M shell, okay, which can reside, but as it is the last shell for sodium, so here maximum 8 electron can reside. This is all for today's class. Little bit is less left, which we will be discussing in our next class. Now I want to tell you something. First thing is, whatever there in the curriculum, you follow that. Okay, the things, the study material which I have provided there, little bit things are there which are not there in your curriculum. So if you want, you can study those, you can learn those, but no question will come from that. Okay. And another thing is that in the worksheet, few questions are there which is out of the curriculum, which is beyond the scope of the curriculum, so that is marked as cross. So no need to do that. Only I think 3 or 4 questions are there which are not there in the curriculum, so we will be not doing that. Okay, so this is all for today. Have a good day.